An agent of inquiry, inspector extraordinaire. He's suave, he's handsome, he's the self-proclaimed gentleman of light. The story of Hildibrand Manderville is an acquired taste. It's nothing like the chapters of the main story. The tales of Hildibrand are full of delusional deductions, wacky antics, and these unusual facial expressions. Some players in Final Fantasy XIV think that his story is too long, too silly, and not worth completing. But I believe Hildibrand Manderville fulfills an important role for players, and definitely stands out as a questline everyone should finish. Let's explore why this legendary man has grown on so many people. I really hope you enjoy. Final Fantasy XIV is packed with content. There's tons to discover thanks to the game's enormous storyline, a variety of game modes, multiple jobs, and of course, the lore. The main story is riding high after the sensational chapters from the Shadowbringers and Endwalker expansions. But there's more than just the main scenario. The game is full of side quests, some that unlock new features, lucrative rewards, or maybe just a little bit of fun. The Hildibrand side stories fall into that last category, serving as a break from our role as the Warrior of Light. The more serious narrative takes a backseat to something on the lighter side. If you haven't done any of this questline yet, you can probably get started now. A player only has to have finished the A Realm Reborn story to begin. Make sure you've completed the Ultima Weapon quest in your journal, and if you have, make your way to Ul'dah and talk to Wymond. The second chain of quests requires that you finish Heavensward and starts here in Ishgard. There's more after you finish Stormblood. You can start that chain in Kagane. Now, unlike other videos, I'm not going to go into great detail about Hildibrand's story as it progresses in the game. That would be doing you a disservice. But we can cover his history. Hildibrand is a goofy Highlander sporting one of the most ridiculous haircuts around. You'll know it's him from the fancy tuxedo and monocle. His attire and characteristics are fitting because, as I said earlier, he's the gentleman of light. Hildibrand is a part of the wealthy Manderville family. You'll know the name by their connections with the Golden Saucer. Hildibrand never wanted to take up the family business though. No, his destiny was on the road. That's why he set out to travel Eorzea as a self-proclaimed inspector extraordinaire. He's usually accompanied by his loyal assistant, Nashu. Hildibrand has been around since the original Final Fantasy XIV. In the 1.0 story, he's traveling around to inns to solve any problems he can. That's how he meets the adventurer. Now, some of the trouble he gets into gets the better of him, and the adventurer has to bail him out. That's because Hildibrand isn't the proficient investigator he claims to be. He's just a strange guy who comes across as pretty idiotic and clumsy. Everyone who meets him picks up on this pretty quickly, except for his sidekick Nashu, who worships the ground he walks on. We'll talk more about this in a bit, but keep in mind that Hildibrand is silly and incompetent, but he has a good heart. That noble spirit is what forces Hildibrand to set his sights on Dalamud. That's the artificial moon in the sky that the Allagan Empire built years ago. This is no street-level threat like Hildibrand is used to. That fake moon is a prison for one of the most dangerous primals around, Bahamut. The prophet Urianger is spreading the message that this will bring about the end of the star. Unfortunately for Hildibrand, he completely misunderstands the prophecy, believing he is in fact the hero in that story. Turns out he's wrong, but that's still why he decides to fight Dalamud. She discovered the gun halberd of the late Nail Van Darnus, and when the inspector tried to use it, believing it was broken or faulty, Hildibrand was sent flying towards Dalamud. A massive explosion splits the sky. Most would die from such circumstances, but Nashu believes in the inspector extraordinaire, and her belief was right. By sheer luck, Hildibrand was captured in an Allagan device meant to keep people in stasis, so he was frozen in time for 5 years. Eventually, he fell back to Eorzea, but in pretty grave condition. Hildibrand had fallen comatose, and no treatment they offered could seem to bring him out of it. So with heavy hearts, his friends and family buried him, believing the inspector was gone for good. Surely you know by now that wasn't the case. No, Hildibrand emerges from his coffin, but with no memory of who he was. He finds himself surrounded by zombies, but he doesn't fight them. There's no need, because these zombies just want to be his friend. Why? They think he's undead just like them. So Hildibrand becomes Zombibrand, leading his followers for a few years before Nashu finds him again. The rest of the story is something you'll have to find out for yourself, and that's not what this video is about anyway. This is about why you, as a player, need to give these quests a chance. Hildibrand is one of the most unusual, dim-witted characters you'll meet in Final Fantasy XIV. We frequently see his complete lack of investigating skills in the questline, like exposing himself when trying to follow a suspect in secret, or breaking an incredibly expensive vase. His companions frequently question his decision making. This man seems to have an incredible amount of luck though to make connections with people who can actually solve his cases. So despite his self-appointed title of Inspector Extraordinaire, he's pretty terrible at solving mysteries. But he's got a big heart. Hildibrand is always trying to help people in need, even if he makes many mistakes along the way. Hildibrand even has a line in Heavensward that relates so well to the big message of Endwalker: don't give in to despair so easily. I wonder what Medion would say about that. That kind of optimism and integrity is hard to come by. Hildibrand's wacky antics are only amplified by his cast of supporting characters. You've got his sidekick Nashu, who outright puts her hero in dangerous situations. One of the best examples is when she tosses live explosives at Hildibrand to hopefully restore his memory. She is just as scatterbrained as her mentor. Nashu is always taking things to the extreme and has a pretty short attention span. You've also got the other Mandervilles, the investigators' parents. Godbert is the father, always sporting red glasses and, well, not much else. He's got incredible speed and monstrous strength, which he uses on his son several times. A few quests involve us oiling up his muscles. He's usually a goof like his son, but unlike Hildibrand, he's very skilled at his craft as a goldsmith. Godbert's wife is Julian, who usually watches her son's actions from afar in the shadows. She does occasionally get involved with her trusty frying pan though. Julian is the only person Godbert is afraid of. We learn to never imply she's old, lest we face her wrath. There's also this little guy, Gigi. He's a mammoth stricken by amnesia that becomes kinda like a son to Hildibrand. They're pretty cute together. There's so many more characters, but even just these few paint a pretty solid picture of the antics that ensue in these quests. They are never heavy-handed stories of a serious tone. No, Hildibrand's tales are full of hijinks. They play out like some of the wackiest cartoon moments from your childhood. Take these high-speed chases that seem straight out of a Tom and Jerry episode. These huge, sometimes creepy facial expressions and animations are only found in these stories. The camera work really shines here. These chapters break all the rules in terms of what should physically be possible on Eorzea. Hildibrand takes all of the absurd tropes Final Fantasy fans have loved and wraps them into this dashing and dapper dude. Think about iconic comic relief characters like Biggs and Wedge, Ultros, and even Gilgamesh. Hildibrand channels these characters and so many more, embracing the campy humor that many fans of the series loved growing up and still do to this day. Now that we've established how weird these quests are, we still have to answer the question, why is this worth your time? It's true, the story is long, and the rewards won't make your character any stronger. You'll get some minions and some emotes, but some people just don't see the value in investing time in something that doesn't give much reward in return. So why bother? Because it's not so serious. We spend almost all of our questing time meeting people in trouble, fighting against dark mages, imperialistic nations, and literally world-ending threats. The stakes have been high for so many years. We've hurt, sacrificed, and mourned for the sake of Atheris and all the people on it. Frankly, when you think about everything the Warrior of Light has accomplished, it's exhausting. I say all of that to say that Hildibrand's not-so-serious adventures are a great break in the action, a chance to slow things down and look at the wackier side of the world we've come to know and love. Sure, those dark places we've ventured are important to us and our journey, but the lighter side can be fulfilling too. It's okay to disconnect, smile, and laugh, so take a break and adventure with Hildibrand. I promise it's worth it. Without spoiling anything important, I can tell you that Hildibrand has been on a bit of a break. He's only made one cameo appearance in the Hero's Gauntlet dungeon in Shadowbringers, and it doesn't happen in every run. The developers have said they feared Hildibrand was getting stale, but they are always surprised by how popular this guy is. So he's coming back in the upcoming story patch for Endwalker in 6.1, and I can't wait. So what do you think of Hildibrand? Do you like the quests, or are they just a waste of time? Let me know in the comments below. Also be sure to subscribe if you enjoy exploring the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. You'll also be notified when the next video comes out. Until then, take care, warriors, and I'll see you next time.